Hello everybody. Some claims against a Lewiston oral surgeon, many found to be true. We'll tell you all about those in the show.
We've got Congresswoman Chellie Pingree in the studio answering your questions live.
And the future of one of Southern Maine's most iconic football fields is in question.
This is News Center now. I'm Amanda Hill. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday.
And I'm Chris Costa in for Lee Goldberg. After more than 25 years in prison for murder, a Maine man is now walking free.
Right. Anthony Sanborn walked out of jail just moments ago to loved ones waiting outside. He's been locked up since 1992. Just think about how different life was 25 years ago. George H.W. Bush was president, gas cost just about $1.10 a gallon, and Boyz II Men had the biggest hit on the radio.
Now, if you're not familiar with this case, Sanborn was just 16 years old when Jessica Briggs was killed. She was stabbed multiple times at the Portland waterfront. His attorney petitioned the court for a bail hearing because they had new evidence. The key witness in his trial, Hope Cady, says she was bullied by police and prosecutors with what to say during the trial back in 1992.
Right, and she says she had no knowledge of the killing, which happened back when she was 13 years old.
And we are expecting to hear from Sanborn, hopefully at some point soon. We're being told from our producers that he could be coming to the mic any moment. If he does, we will bring you back up to date on that story.
Absolutely. In other news, pulling the wrong teeth, ignoring patient pain, and failing to follow proper sterilization protocols, those are just some of the findings against an oral surgeon in Lewiston.
Dr. Jan Kipax is practicing again after finishing his most recent suspension from the Maine Board of Dental Practice, his third on record. We spoke to a former patient of his who went to have 2 teeth removed last year. She says what happened to her during and after her surgery is part of an investigation against him. Watching her son Nico play brings a smile to Megan Westervelt's face. Her visit to an oral surgeon last year brought the opposite reaction.
There's no way. There's no way this just happened.
She went to Dr. Jan Kipax to have 2 teeth removed. Kipax was one of the only dentists nearby who accepts MaineCare and who could get her in for an appointment quickly.
He informed me that he felt I needed to have 4 teeth extracted, not 2.
Westervelt opted for general anesthesia. When she woke up, she says her mouth was a mess.
I woke up choking and coughing on my own blood. There was no gauze in my mouth, no stitches.
She got home and looked in the mirror. It was worse than she feared.
It wasn't just 4 teeth he pulled, it was 5. And I discovered he pulled, the wrong one and had also chipped a tooth in the process.
Westervelt filed a complaint with the Maine Board of Dental Practice, claiming Dr. Kipax pulled the wrong tooth, provided no stitches or gauze, and prescribed inadequate medicine to deal with the pain.
You go under anesthesia, there's a great deal of trust. And it's, you feel violated.
In line with board procedures, Dr. Kipax responded to Westervelt's complaint, writing that he told her he felt she needed 5 teeth pulled and believes he pulled the correct teeth. He also states he believes stitches were not necessary because the extractions were not surgical, but simple. He also wrote gauze would not be an appropriate treatment. Westervelt's complaint isn't the first against Dr. Kipax. News Center found 3 disciplinary actions taken against him. A 2002 suspension of his license stemmed from a laundry list of complaints, including that Dr. Kipax did not wash his hands between surgeries, wore gloves contaminated with patient blood and/or saliva when touching sterilized dental instruments, and even dropped sterilized dental instruments on the operatory floor and reused them in patients' mouths without properly sterilizing them, as well as extracted the wrong tooth, dropped it on the floor, rinsed the tooth with water, and unsuccessfully attempted to reinsert that tooth back in the patient's mouth, as well as not properly addressing patient's pain. A 2003 suspension of his license came from similar complaints, removing the wrong teeth and failing to properly assess patient complaints of pain. On February 17 of this year, the dental board investigated another series of complaints, including Westervelt's, which was part of a list that accused Dr. Kippax of continuing with painful procedures after patients asked him to stop, failing to provide patients with appropriate aftercare instructions, performing procedures while not wearing gloves or not changing contaminated gloves, and extracting teeth other than those intended to be extracted. Kippax's license was suspended for 30 days. He's now practicing again.
It's incredibly frustrating to see someone continue his practice when it's a joke.
We called Dr. Kippax's office for a comment twice.
Chris, thank you for calling. Goodbye.
We also called Kippax's lawyer, James Bello, and left 3 voicemails and sent 4 emails, but got no response. There's one question specifically for the dental board that we wanted answered. After numerous complaints and disciplinary actions, what does it take for a dentist to get his or her license revoked for good? Our request for an in-person interview with the dental board was denied because the spokesperson felt it was inappropriate for staff and board members to be interviewed when involved with ongoing potential investigations and complaint cases. So we emailed our questions. Executive Director of the board, Penny Valancourt, responded saying, "The board may consider previous discipline with similar conduct or violations when imposing sanctions. The board can consider a variety of sanctions, including revocation, for any violation enumerated in statute. As noted earlier, each case presents a different set of facts, and sanctions are imposed relative and appropriate to the unprofessional conduct or incompetent practice violations as determined by the board." Dr. Kippax is still able to practice in Maine.
Kitty?
Westervelt says it isn't
He
right.
needs to have his license revoked. There is no way this man should be practicing. Absolutely not.
There's an effort right now to organize a class action lawsuit against Dr. Kippax. The dental board has yet to respond to our follow-up questions about when the complaints against the dentist are grounds for losing his or her license.
Definitely an interesting story.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Governor LePage sticking by Dakota's side. So are many of you on social media. A judge this week ordered the 4-year-old husky be put down, but an appeal filed yesterday will let the dog live for now. It's been an unusual case from the start, especially when LePage stepped in and asked the dog be pardoned. This morning on WGAN, LePage said he thinks Dakota should stay alive.
The dog was in a survival mode. He was being neglected, and I think that now that they've got the dog where the dog should be, as a domesticated, good family pet, and I just think the judge was wrong.
The governor says in this case, the blame should be placed on the dog's original owners, something many of you agree with. Rick said, don't blame the dog, blame the former owners. Give the poor dog a chance to change with the new owners. John, however, argues the dog already killed one dog, tried to kill another dog in the same household. I think you had 2 chances already.
That's the one that had a lot of people talking.
Absolutely. Coming up, we're live with Congresswoman Shelley Pingree. She's been busy getting work done while Congress is on break.
And we want to get your questions answered too, so head on over to Facebook. Let us know what you want to know. Now continues next.
Hi everybody, it's Cecil Mikowski in Portland outside the Cumberland County Jail where Anthony Sanborn has just left with his family after spending 25 years in jail. There were about 20 people here for him today, all gathered in the lobby of the jail, waiting for him for about an hour and a half. Eventually, he was able to walk out for the first time as a free man for now. They got in a car just a little while ago, and they aren't really sure what they're going to do. I talked to his wife a little bit earlier this afternoon. She said that she is tired of making all the decisions for him while he's been in jail, so she wants to let him figure out what he wants to do this evening. And going forward, she hopes that he's able to help people transition out of prison and into the community as a job. So she's trying to help him find some type of role like that in terms of employment going forward. So that's the latest from here. We're going to have more at 6, and we'll see you then.
All right, drugs, the state's economy, online sexual harassment, those are just some of the topics Representative Shelley Pingree is tackling at home in Maine while Congress is on break. Now she's tackling your questions. So we're going to start with the heroin epidemic here in Maine because that's something you've really been championing for. Why don't you explain kind of what you've been doing with that?
Well, last year Congress passed some bills to try to get the states more assistance. They haven't been fully funding, so we've been fighting to make sure that the funding is there, because for states like ours, with not enough treatment beds and really a growing problem that doesn't seem to be getting any smaller, basically losing a person a day, we need a lot more support. I had a roundtable today or yesterday with a group of people who are in recovery and heard a lot of the things, firsthand. What do they need? What happens when you've got that little window after a detox and you can't get to a bed to make sure you get the treatment that they need? And it was clear we need more funding, more support in our state, and a lot more education for the families and the people who do the treatment.
You're also looking into funding to improve the state's internet broadband service. It sounds like that's having an impact on our economy.
Absolutely. We had an interesting meeting earlier in the week on broadband access, meeting again with people in communities who are trying to do everything that they can. It's shocking, but we're 49th in the country. It's not going to be shocking if you have dial-up. You're going to know this. We're 49th in the country, both in the coverage and in the speed. Well, that holds you back. If you've got a small business in a remote part of the state, you can't send out the materials you want. Customers can't find you as well. It's not good for telemedicine. We really need some support in our state. We're hoping if there's an infrastructure bill, this will be a way to improve this infrastructure. We believe it should be treated like electricity. Everyone should have access.
Right. And let's quickly talk about sexual harassment online, because that's another thing that you feel strongly about, specifically with service members.
Absolutely. I just sponsored a bill. I've worked on this issue before, but this newest revelation that millions of, or not millions, many women in the Marines were having their pictures posted in compromising ways, not with their consent or knowledge. And we want to make sure they get the benefits that they deserve, they get the treatment, and that is recognized as sexual harassment. In fact, it's a crime.
Now, Denise, just going back to the heroin epidemic really quickly, because we're listening to some of our viewers right now. Denise says not enough places in the county for people who need recovery. Is that
absolutely true? In fact, there's not enough places in Maine. Many people who seek treatment end up in beds in Florida, California, Massachusetts. Many of them are good places, but the fact is you need to develop contacts with people who you're going to know on the outside. You need to develop a network. You'd be so much better off whether you're in the county or in southern Maine. You need a bed that's close to home. We have to do something about this epidemic. This is a terrible addiction. We have to treat it like an illness, and we have to give people the support they need.
And it sounds like in talking with people who have gone through that process, it seems like a no-brainer that we would learn from them. I mean, what are you taking back with you when you go back to work?
Absolutely. Well, we've talked to, many of the providers and people who work on the side of helping with the solution, but to sit down with a group of people who have been through this, some of them many times trying to cure their own addiction or lost family members, it was really courageous of them to come and tell us their stories, and we were really grateful for that. But you learn so much more from someone who says, this didn't work, but this did, and we need to do more of it. And the thing that people told us more than anything else was when you go through that detox, the day you decide to make that change in your life, you have to have the treatment there right away. And when you get out, you have to have some support to make sure you can live in a sober house for a while, that you have some access to getting a job, that you have a little bit of support while you're putting your life back together. Otherwise, you may find yourself back in the same situation again.
Right. All right, Representative Shelley Pingree, thanks so much for joining us and answering our questions.
Thanks for having me.
Keith will let us know about some warmer weather heading our way just in time for the weekend. Okay, whether you're from Biddeford, you played high school football, or you just love the sport, you've probably heard of Waterhouse Field.
The longtime home of the Biddeford Tigers closed this week because of safety concerns. And as Jess Gagne found out today, the future of the beloved field is uncertain.
The catches, the crowds, the memories. Not just for the kids from Biddeford who call this grass home field.
Play with the best competition in Maine.
But for the generations of all-stars from all over the state who play here every summer in the Maine Shrine Lobster Bowl Classic.
My son was thinking about playing his last game at Waterhouse, so he won't be able to do that.
That's because as of this week, the facility is closed. The 28th annual Lobster Bowl will not happen here, and the cheers that used to come from these stands won't be heard for the foreseeable future.
We knew that that Waterhouse needed some attention, but I wasn't sure it was that dire.
The school committee asked for an independent study to be done on all of the field spaces in Biddeford and also asked for a separate assessment of the Waterhouse Field bleachers. The result? A recommendation that no one use them until significant repairs are done.
Well, the problem didn't develop overnight. It's developed over many, many years. Things that need some major investment, people say, well, we'll do it next year. And then next year, that year never comes until all of a sudden there's a major issue or a catastrophe.
Officials say the problems here extend way beyond the bleachers, which came to Biddeford used in the 80s and 90s. They say the lights need repairs, the locker rooms have issues, and the field itself needs to be addressed. All told, it may add up to millions of dollars that those who live here will have to decide if they want to pay.
I'm hoping that the individuals in the city, the residents, and maybe alumni will look at it and say, geez, maybe we can help out and invest some dollars, and then that will allow the city to also try to find some funding and so forth.
Until then, there will be no spectating from these seats. The lacrosse teams that play here in the spring will finish out their seasons at the University of New England. Those who care about this place hope its time has not run out.
I think this is going to spur a lot of people to say, hey, you know what, we have a gem here. I hope the community really does rally around this and said, hey, we can't lose this.
That was Jessica Gagne reporting. There will be a meeting on May 1st to review that comprehensive field study that was done and discuss how to proceed.
That field is getting a lot of love, too, on Facebook right now.
Oh, really?
Sentimental, I think, for some people.
Yeah, it's like that connection when you've gone there so many years, and you watch your kids play on it. Yeah.
Sentimental about this building sometimes.
No, you're not.
Lovely.
But nice try.
I think this is a sick building, actually. I think we're going to find that out eventually. Luckily, I don't work that much.
I get sick sometimes being in the building. I've got a little cough right now.
Stuffy.
This is a petri dish factor. But we have a nice deck out there that we've been utilizing here and there. You see, Sharon was out there the other day working. Take advantage of it. We actually ended up pretty mild today, 57 in Portland. You'll notice along the coastline some of our warmer readings. The reason for this is we had a west-northwest wind which fought off any natural sea breeze. So this time of the year, basically until July and even parts of August, you really need an offshore flow to fight off the natural onshore flow that wants to create itself. So a west and northwest wind fights back that sea breeze, and the coastline's able to warm up. We actually had a little bit more cloudiness out there today than I would have expected, admittedly. I don't think it was a detriment to the day for most of us, but over northern Maine, it was cloudy through a good portion of the day. Here across southern Maine and through the mid-coast, just some late cloudiness kind of rolling on in. Just want to quickly touch on the fact that we still have some flood warnings in effect for the Kennebec River here. What I've seen for visuals out of that area is nothing unusual for this time of the year. So they tend to just kind of swell over the banks there a little bit when the snow melts, and I don't see any reason that'll get any worse as the snow melt continues at a relatively slow rate now over the next few days. All right, high pressure in place today, squarely in place tomorrow, so mostly sunny through the day. Most of the day on Saturday looks really nice. In fact, we might wait until the evening hours to start to get some clouds in here. Can't rule out a sprinkle, say, after 6 o'clock. Showers overnight Saturday into early Sunday. But I think a good portion of Easter Sunday is actually pretty nice because we're dry and we're in the warm sector, so temperatures respond nicely. Here we are Friday. Through the day, nice and sunny, trying to bring a few showers across far northern Maine. I think the chance, though, there is 10 or 15%, if that. Saturday, again, nice and sunny until late afternoon, early evening. Then we get some showers through. Notice the showers are early in the day on Sunday, and then we get a period during the middle of the day that's nice and bright and mild before the trailing cold front comes through Sunday afternoon with an isolated shower. So kind of a hard day to explain on Sunday, but I think on the balance, you're going to find that it's pretty nice. We do get a reality check temperature-wise as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. Temperatures only getting into the mid-40s for highs. So that is going to be a change. We're around 54, I think, for average this time of the year. So we're going to be below that on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But, you know, overall, the pattern is just certainly shifted from what we had through almost all of March and the beginning part of April, which was a really rough stretch of weather. And we've definitely turned that corner for the time being. So Easter Sunday looks pretty good.
We
Get
hit
dressed
that
up in your
level-
best.
Yeah, we hit that level though where it's like I could go out without a jacket because
Right.
it feels okay compared to.
Yes, and you want to,
Right.
and you the tendency is to want to keep it that way. And I think Monday and Tuesday in the 40s will feel a little cooler. But to me, I'll take it with the sunshine and the fact
Exactly.
that no snow's in the forecast.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Keith. We're back in a moment.
All right, in today's Brain Drops, this has not been a popular topic within the office.
No,
We're talking
that's
about
why I'm standing over here.
spiders, specifically a Brazilian walking spider, which is one of the more venomous, poisonous spiders on Earth. But here's the interesting twist. One of the side effects from a bite from this spider is a dangerous and prolonged erection. The reason for this is that nitric oxide is part of the process of your brain getting aroused, and hence what happens downstairs. Well, this spider's venom stimulates that. So as part of the process and the antidote, they have to settle that down, because this is such a negative reaction that people actually become impotent from it because it's too much blood flow to that
okay.
part. So it's not like a positive
I was
thing.
going to say, like, what
No.
makes this dangerous?
Not like it's
but-
not in a way that you'd want it. And check out this spider first of all.
Oh no, no!
It is one of the
Keith.
creepiest. And,
Oh, yeah.
And it's actually the reason it poses danger to humans is that it's called a Brazilian walking spider because unlike most spiders that burrow and hide, it walks the jungle floor at night.
It's disgusting.
And it tends to try to hide during the day.
Call it names.
Right.
I can't.
It's a creature. It's
So
it
why is
hides.
it
This is
there?
really enjoyable. Just
Hannah.
watching her reaction is really funny.
It hides.
I'm upset at our producer for putting it behind you.
Yeah, yeah. People are not enjoying this, but I thought it was interesting.
Whoa! Look at him.
No.
Interesting twist to this whole thing. I've never heard of a spider with that kind of reaction.
This is
Yeah.
this
So-
was the
They
most
can't find 'em
horrendous
here, right?
brain drops we've
P.S.
ever
No,
done.
this is in
Thank
South
goodness.
America, Brazil specifically. So
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you tune in to News Center at 5:30 coming up next.
look at that thing.
Bye.
Scary.